Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing another DC Universe Classics review, and that will be of Azrael as Batman. Take a look at this Batman right here. Now, first and foremost is I'm going to be calling him Azrael. I'm not going to call him Azbat, I'm not going to call him Batman, I'm not going to call him Jean-Paul Valley. I'm going to call him Azrael. It's what I always call him, and chances are if I tried to call him something else, I'd still call him Azrael. Second of all is I will be doing a bio on Azrael. Even though I did a bio for the DC Universe Classics 2-pack that his original figure came in, that was a while back, might as well just do a new one. So with that said, a little information about Azrael. Azrael's real name is Jean-Paul Valley, and he comes from a long line of holy assassin Templar knights called Azraels, and the Azraels were created by the Order of St. Dumas. Now, upon hearing and finding out about his father's death, Jean-Paul Valley takes up the mantle of Azrael, and he becomes the Order's holy avenger, this dark angel, Crimson Destroyer, whatever you want to give him for a nickname. And the system activates in his head. And you're probably asking, what exactly is the system? Well, the system is a psychological trigger that is used by the Order of St. Dumas to control their Azraels, make sure they don't go out of line and play any miscellaneous Xbox games they shouldn't be playing. It's basically making them their pawn. So, Jean-Paul Valley becomes Azrael, but after a tussle with his own personal arch enemy, and having Batman thrown in the midst, he kind of decides that being Azrael is maybe not the best thing for him. So he decides to join up with Batman. And Batman takes him under his wing, no pun intended, and trains him to become one of his allies. And then Bane comes along, and Bane breaks Bruce Wayne's back. And out of haste and necessity, Bruce Wayne gives the mantle of Batman to Jean-Paul Valley, who becomes the second Batman. Now at first, Azrael was really good at being Batman. He was quick, he was efficient, he got the job done, he even beat Bane, which at that time, not even Bruce did. Granted, Bruce, when fighting Bane the first time, was sick, didn't have sleep for like a month, not a month, but a long time, and went through a gauntlet of villains. Azrael would still be able to defeat Bane. That's no small task. However, the system was still in Azrael's head, and it was screwing with him, making him become paranoid, seeing things that weren't there, making him become isolated, dangerous. He started changing his Batman costume into more of an Azrael costume, as you can see here. And he became so reckless and so dangerous, people started dying. This forced Bruce out of his injury a little early, and there was the Battle of the Batmen, with Bruce Wayne coming up as victorious, of course, and oddly enough, using his words to defeat Azrael, taking a page from Wonder Woman, a little diplomatic resolve. Well, anyways, Azrael goes off to find himself, and eventually he comes to control the system, and he dons the persona of Azrael once more as one of Batman's allies. However, eventually Azrael is killed in a climactic battle against his arch nemesis, and that's it. Well, no, that's not really it. Azrael does come back as a Black Lantern during Blackest Night, and what's really cool is he has raked up the most kills out of all the Black Lanterns. He's just going around slaughtering people. Kudos to you, Azrael. And the name Azrael does not die with Jean-Paul Valley. The mantle of Azrael gets passed on to Michael Lane, who becomes the new Azrael. Although he does not come from the Order of St. Dumas, he comes from the Order of Purity, although there's some stuff going on right now that he could switch sides. So, the name Azrael lives on. Now, Azrael, power and abilities, he's genetically enhanced. He's stronger, he's faster, and he's physically better than most humans. I mean, he's not quite at Deathstroke's level of speed, strength, reflexes and stuff, but he's definitely stronger than a normal human like Bruce or Dick. In addition to that, he's a great hand-to-hand combatant. He's not quite up there with the top tiers of the DC Universe like Richard Dragon, Lady Shiva, Bruce Wayne, but with the training he has and his enhanced strength, speed, and all that other junk, he's a dangerous foe to get in combat with. And despite the fact he doesn't have many tools, the tools he has, he knows how to use very well. In addition to that, he has his Azrael armor, which he's gone through different armors throughout his tenure as Azrael and as Batman, but this armor in particular, his As-Bat armor, has bulletproof armor, which is also flame-proof. And speaking of fire, he has flamethrowers. He has what could best be called a Gatling Shuriken Batarang launcher. He shoots batarangs like shurikens out of his wrist. In addition to that, he has all the fun toys that a Batman costume would have, a grappling hook, detective stuff, and his wings, for lack of a better term, gives him limited gliding ability. Not flight, gliding. A little bit more so than Bruce's would. So that's basically Azrael in a nutshell. Really cool character, and he comes from one of my favorite, actually, it is my favorite Batman story, which is Batman Nightfall. My favorite Batman story of all time. I don't know why I said one of my favorites, but it is my favorite Batman story of all time. So when I heard they were doing an Azrael figure, I needed to get it. Why? Because one, I like Azrael. He's cool. Despite the fact I like Michael Lane as Azrael, Jean-Paul Valley will always keep a special place in my heart. And second of all, he was in my favorite Batman story. But would the figure live up to my standards? Well, let's take a look at this bad boy. This is the second figure to come out from Mattel for Azrael. The first one was a DC Universe Classic / DC Superhero Azrael figure. And as you can see, this is pretty much an exact copy of what Azrael looked like during Nightfall, particularly towards the end of Nightfall. And they do a fantastic job at transitioning over from the comic art to this figure. A completely new mold for this figure. They didn't reuse parts like they usually tend to. Everything is nicely detailed. Particularly right here, I like the fact that they had the, I want to call it either the ammo clip or the gasoline tube right here that attaches from his back onto his gauntlet. I want to say it's the gasoline tube a little bit more, but it goes into where the shurikens will come out. And like I said, it's just beautifully detailed. It looks exactly like Azrael did from the comics when he was As-Bat or Batman. No real complaints about this figure except for the belt moves on my figure. In addition to that, they advertised the figure on the back of the box with having another little pouch right there. In addition to that, I think in the comics he did have another pouch there. It's been a few months since I read Nightfall. I'm going to have to look at it again. But if I do remember, I believe he did have an extra pouch there. But besides that, this is exactly what Azrael looked like from the comics. And they did a fantastic job transitioning this figure over. I brought over, for comparison, the original Azrael figure from the 2-pack and from the superhero line. And although they're completely different figures, I recommend getting both of them. It's hard to say which figure I like more. Maybe the original costume. I don't know why. Probably because red's my favorite color and it just came out very nicely. But this figure is definitely a 10 out of 10 figure. Probably the best As-Bat figure we've gotten. There were a few released. I know there was one release for the Nightfall line, but great figure. He has a good range of articulation. The only bad articulation is in his shoulder because of his armor, and his wrist could have a little bit better articulation. Oh, and his head too. But besides that, I mean, he has good articulation, and the back wings do not make him back heavy. He actually poses very nicely. Very well balanced figure, which is surprisingly so. Great figure, definitely one of the best from the line. Although Robin is my personal favorite figure from this wave, this figure is probably the must-get. I mean, it's just so beautifully done. So take one more look at Azrael. Great figure. If you can get your hands on both of them, that's awesome. But if you couldn't get your hands on the original Azrael, the Nightfall As-Bat figure is definitely a must-get. So it would have also been nice if they had a variant which had the red color that happened after Azrael's suit got burned. But hey, this is great. Definitely a must-have. So with that said, this is Andrew saying, peace out for now.